I think we were 3 years into our marriage, maybe four. And yeah, it's 3 or 4. And so, as we already heard, that I was very self-centered. I only took care of myself. I didn't show any physical attention to my wife. It got to the point with my wife where she one day was basically begging me on her knees to just hold her. She said, "Please just hold me." And I told her, I said, "I'm sorry, I can't be that person for you." And I just sit there and I look back on that moment and I go, how devastating would that be to hear? The person that
Yeah,
you
it's like
married, the person that you expected
your
to have
mom all over again.
exactly, to have a life
Yeah.
with, you are hearing that all of your dreams are crushed in a moment. And ultimately, what that led to was her having an affair. And so
Yeah.
when she had this affair, and it did not, it was not this smooth transition where I just found out all in one time. It was, there was bits and pieces that I was finding. It was like a breadcrumb, like a breadcrumb trail. And I was finding all of these different aspects of it. And then eventually the other guy's wife gets in contact and says, "This is what's actually happened." And it devastated me. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But what was interesting was I again had another innate understanding that it was not her fault. It was mine. And anyone who I've told this story to who does not actually know how to self-reflect on their decisions say, "No, that's not your fault. That was her fault." But I pushed her. Yes, I didn't make the choice. She made the choice. Why did she make the choice? Ask the question of why did she get to that point? Did I have something to play in that? Or was I just the perfect model husband and she just for some reason did that? I always think that if the other person is doing actions that don't line up with who they were when you first met them, there's a reason. And that to a certain degree, it stems from you. Yes, there was something in her as well. But I noticed every single action I had taken was something that my parents would have done, even as you said, and it pushed her away. She wanted to love me. She wanted to give me all of her, and I wanted none of her. I wanted her to just be submissive. And that pushed her to meeting an emotional and a physical need somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that moment of sheer and utter pain, where I'm sitting there and we had this picture and it said our anniversary date, and I'm throwing it across the room and it shatters everywhere. I'm all these things, and I just remember all the anger and the hurt. And I remember getting in the truck that was way too expensive, and I had my son loaded up, and I was about to leave. I told her, I said, "I'm done." And I get in the truck, and right as I'm about to leave, she's standing in front of the truck and she's crying, and I'm upset, but she won't move. And I just had, in a moment, I just looked at her and I realized I needed her. And I realized that every decision that I had made in our marriage pushed her there. When I got out of the truck, she asked me, she said, "Steven, I just need 2 years." Because statistically, if you stay together for 2 years after that break point, that is when the marriage gets whole again. And I told her, I gave her an ultimatum. I said, "I will stay, but if anything else happens, I'm gone. No questions asked." And I said, "Do you accept those terms and conditions?" I don't know. I guess I turned into Apple whenever they do an update, but they, she said yes, and we're still here, and we have a beautiful marriage now because, and the thing is the man of the house is supposed to lead. You're supposed to lead and show her how to be loved. You're supposed to show her what is different than you, what's different in you than her father. Why could she not find that love somewhere else? And I had to become someone else in a certain sense. I had to become a better version of myself. I had to become a version of myself that I'd never seen. I had never had love. I didn't know how to love. I had never been physically loved on, so I did not know how to physically love. So I had to break that cycle by just holding her at night, even though I hated it. Like I hated holding her. I didn't like the feeling of it.
Yeah.
It made me too hot. I wanted to just sleep. I had to do certain things like just take her hand in public or whatever it was, just touch her, just give her a hug. I had to push myself as if it was going to the gym and working out. I had to push myself to do the things I didn't like instead of just, well, I'm taking care of the house. I'm cooking for you. I did whatever. Those are acts of service. Her top love language is physical touch, so acts of service was like really low. It didn't matter.
Sure.
But that pushing my boundaries of what I was comfortable in to meet her physical needs, that is where we started joining back together. And now we have a great relationship because I started looking back over my life, even as I'm doing now on this podcast. and saying, okay, what decisions did I make that have equivalated to the person I'm at right now? And is that the person I want to be in the future? Is that the person I want to be in 10 years? Is that the person I want my son modeling? Is that the person that my wife stays with? If the answer is no, then what do I need to let go of now? And
Yeah.
and you got to do that introspective work almost on a daily basis.